Yeah, okay.
13,000
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Better have a lot of it.
But one of the kids there, he told me that you don't want that truck, you had a liver problem and stuff. But it's thanks for telling me that, because now it'll make me really think starts around where I wanted it to. It started way past that.
More like coffee.
All of them got a lot more money.
All right, everybody ready to get started? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just ask that you look out upon us today, dear Lord, and you offer the commissioners all the abilities to take care of business today, Lord. We ask that you be with all the county employees as everyone's out working today, Lord, and just protect them and keep them safe and healthy. Lord, we ask you to be with our citizens and protect them as well, Lord, and just be with our people in Linn County and offer them protection from this old disease that we've been seeing go around for several months now, Lord. We'd ask all this in Jesus Christ's name.
Danny, you alone?
I think so.
Well, I'd make a motion that we approve our minutes. Blow him off. You think?
I'll second that. Moving second, all in favor? Aye.
I have the park report for August.
August receipts, $23,722.78. Expenditures, $38,200.59. Receipts year to date, $133,381.91. And expenditures are $221,276.75. Two-thirds of the way through. As bad as we've ever seen that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, COVID.
David, you got anything else?
Yeah, we've got the bills, I just set them there by mine. And I got a couple other things to get going.
Payroll, sign off on. Claims in the amount of $302,367.59. My motion to approve.
Second. Moving second, all in favor?
We're gonna have to copy this, Renee.
All right, we also have a request for a fence view that we need to schedule between Elm Creek Ranch, Scott Alexander, and Frederick Lease. They filled out the application, paid the fee. I've got maps here showing it, but we need to get that scheduled, and we'll have to notify both parties when we're going to do that. I think we do that with a certified mail. So I'm guessing we probably want to go out at least 2 weeks to give us time to get those notices out.
Gary, you know anything about that?
They called and visited about it. There are apparently 2 or 3 issues involved, and only one of those really involves us. I mean, on a fence view, you recall, we don't do anything regarding the location. And there are some location issues, but there are also just, there's just the basic issue of who's responsible for what part of the fence, and is the fence that's there a legal fence? That's what we do. So we will go look at it, and I tried to make that clear, that we don't have any part with, number one, the location, and number two, with actually collecting on anything. If somebody builds a fence, and, that's all privately done. But we do have a duty to go out and look and say, there is or is not a legal fence here, and if one were to be built, here's who would be responsible for what one.
We've done, what, 3 since I've been here, and you probably done a ton more.
I won't say a ton more, we've done a few.
We've done a number of through the years. We haven't done any for the last 2 or 3 years, I don't know, but maybe just right after you got on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're usually contentious. The gentleman reached out to me and said that he'd offered to build the fence, pay for the fence, paid for the survey, paid for the brush clearing, and they were arguing over the actual, they got one gentleman said, well, I see the survey mark, but the fence was over here, I want it. And then the guy said, okay, we'll build it diagonal across this half mile. And he agreed to that after paying for a goat fence, which is woven wire, half mile of it and this and that, and clearing and taking out the old. But then the guy said, well, now I want you to move it over another 16 foot in the back. And the guy said, now wait, you're just taking away a rod of my property. And of course, anyway, so then it got contentious, I think.
Yeah, it did. And so, I made it clear that the core issue, which is the location of the fence, we don't have anything to do with.
And that's the reason I sent him your way. I said, I think if you will find out that what you're trying to resolve is not something we can do.
Yeah.
Now, what we've figured out over the years is often we'll get involved in this because it's setting themselves up for a better legal position in court.
Right. That's what I think is going on here. In order to go to court and say he's crossed all his T's and dotted all his I's, we're doing this, so.
So, I don't think they're gonna disagree with the fact that we find the fence is unsuitable, although the statute, what requires it a legal fence,
3?
3 wires.
yeah, 3 wires are post every 20 foot and something like, but it's darn sure not goat fence. So, anyway, the second part of it is all right, if you got 3 creek crossings in the right half of that, is it fair for you to do the right half of the maintenance and you to do the other right half of the maintenance, customary? And we could say, well, we think, and just think, that it's a 1/4 mile and you take care of 3/4 miles that doesn't have any creek crossing, or you get 1 creek crossing and you get 2, and that's something that we can advise on, right?
We could order that.
Can we?
Yeah, we issue an order saying, here's what you're responsible for. And then if one side doesn't do their part, the other side can build it all, and because they've got that order, then they can go to court and get it, try to get it collected.
I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, because I think the guy's probably pulling back on, okay, if you're gonna make me go to court, then I'm not gonna pay for half of it, I'm not gonna, you're gonna be responsible for your half of the expenses now, so.
So what's our next step?
We just need to schedule it.
Yeah, we need to schedule a time and date. Typically, we try to do these on Monday afternoons, since you guys are in for a meeting on Monday anyway, but like I said, I think we'd want to go out at least 2 weeks to give us time to send the notices.
So we, all 3 of us go out there?
Yep. And we usually take a sheriff or a sheriff's deputy with us. In this case, I understand that might be entirely appropriate.
They're usually contentious, they are. Next Monday?
Can't do it next Monday, we wouldn't get the notices out in time.
Okay.
I'd say the earliest we probably want to do it would be October 7th. That'd give us 2 full weeks to get the notices in place.
It's
Oh,
between,
October 7th, is that the holiday?
I'd have to, let me look. Say 2 weeks from today would be September 28th.
It's between, it's out by Cadmus, right, east of Cadmus?
You know, I'm not absolutely sure exactly where. Actually, October, the first Monday would be the 5th, then it's the following Monday is Mother's Day. So, yeah, I think we'd want to look at it either the September 28th or October 5th, probably.
I'm okay with September 28th. I mean, probably sooner the better.
However you guys want to handle it.
Usually what we do is, like if we allow for a full meeting, then we set it for 12:30 or 1 o'clock or something. When we get done, everybody goes and gets their own lunch, and then we, you know, meet out there. Just as sure as we said it earlier, we'll have a long
Right.
meeting.
So you're intending to meet or with us, right? All
Yeah,
right.
I pretty much have to
Okay.
show up for these.
Okay. Scott Alexander's a classmate of Rick and mine, and he's the owner of one of the parties.
Oh.
But I know that's the transparency, they don't have,
Is it out there by the school?
yeah, it's between Prairie View and Cadmus, I believe.
Okay, I know.
David usually gives us a map ahead of time.
Yeah, I've got maps here. I haven't nailed down exactly where that is. 2200 Road.
Which is Prairie View.
Does that
East west.
28th date work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Time was set.
Lamb Road, or what's the other intersection? Kyle?
Let me see it real quick on there.
Well, pretty fine with me. If we can get up there from here in time.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Turn lights and siren. Gas cord up there.
what day and time are we looking at?
It's the 28th at 12:30. But Kevin, is Kevin be involved, you said?
He'll send somebody.
If that works for everybody, I'm good with it.
So, Gary, should we do a motion to set that time and date?
I think, yeah, it's good to have that on the record.
I'll make a motion that we set September, what's it called, a fence, what?
Fence view?
A fence view for September 28th at 12:30 in Cadmus area. That's my motion.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I will get notices out to both parties, and I'll give you guys copies of the map and the application, and so you can see where we're going and what's going on with it. I think that's all I have at the moment. Renee will be in a little bit. I've got proclamations ready for Constitution Week that she sent. And then we have the road vacation hearing scheduled for 10:30.
Gary, you got anything right off?
I've got a trash or a CD thing, if you want to do that now. It's a request for relief on CD fees. It's out of Tanglewood. The owner is the Property Owners Association. It's property that burned at some point, has been demolished, and they want some relief on the dumping fees. There is a little hiccup here. There are some delinquent taxes due on the property. They apparently didn't pay their taxes in 2019. So your options are to approve it or to approve it contingent on their getting their taxes on that property paid, or deny it, I guess, although it does meet the requirements of other.
What's our requirement state about the delinquent taxes?
It says that those things have to be reported, and the implication is that we're not gonna do it on stuff that's delinquent. It doesn't actually say we can't. You've got the option of doing it. But,
Why would we?
I think it'd be a bad precedent.
So effectively, the POA is gonna end up paying somebody's personal, probably.
It's
tax.
theirs, it's theirs. They bought this at a tax sale back in 2018, and then they apparently didn't pay the taxes in 2019.
So now they want free dumping fees in.
So we can approve it, contingent on them paying their taxes, right? And
Yes.
that's dumping and not hauling, right?
It's dumping, not hauling.
So move.
Second.
Contingent on their taxes.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye. Who's got to sign it?
Let's see. No body signs, you don't have to.
Anything else right off the bat?
Okay. Gary, I just got a message from Pam asking if you would like her to try to get those orders ready and bring them over today.
Yeah, that'd be great, because since you reminded me last week and I didn't get it done.
AMR?
Good morning, my name is Galen Anderson with American Medical Response, and I have for you the monthly reporting for the month of August that we can go over. And a copy for you.
Isn't it slimming down? We're getting healthy and voting. Can we do it?
I see that.
So you can see 2 transports out of Blue Mound, none out of Centerville, 18 out of Lacine for the month, 6 out of Linn Valley, 17 out of Mountain City, 5 out of Parker, 14 out of Pleasanton, 1 out of Prescott, for a total of 63 ground transports for the month of August. 25 of those were out of District 1 with an average response time of 7 minutes, 38 seconds. 21 transports out of District 2 with an average of 10 minutes and 4-second response time. And then 17 transports out of District 3, which is unusually high, with an average response time of 17 minutes and 21 seconds. And I've talked about it before, but as a matter of refreshing your memory, the way response times are calculated for District 3, is the supervisor unit, which is there, has a response time, which is usually rather quick. And then the transporting ambulance, which is coming from Station 1 or Station 2, is also assigned a response. And they're also given a response time, which is longer because of the distance. And both those response times are averaged for that transport. So it's something to keep in consideration. So while it looks like we have an average response of 17 minutes. In reality, the patients are having a paramedic at their side, rendering ALS first aid within probably more like a response time comparable to the other districts, 7 to 10 minutes. And then a total average response of 10 minutes and 56 seconds for the county for the whole month. And then the next section below that is our total ambulance hours. For the month, we are budgeted to have 1,860 unit hours in service, and we were just 1 unit hour shy. So you can see a high compliance for our total ambulance hours in service. And then the last section I added from the request from the commission to start see the total numbers for a month for patients that are flown out by helicopter.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So for the month of August, 3 patients were flown out by helicopter, and I believe these 3 were, I think 1 was a stroke and 2 were heart attacks, or vice versa, but they're both, all 3 of them were either a stroke or heart attack. So,
What's typical for a helicopter, 1 to 2 a month, or?
so really we've been tracking it as far as like every time it happens, we review it, but we haven't been tracking it as far as total numbers for the month. So we'll see. We have a lot more requests than that because if we wait until we show up and decide that somebody is having a stroke and then request a helicopter, it's too late. It doesn't save us any time that way. And then they're, in the back of our ambulance for 45 minutes to an hour having their stroke on the way to the hospital. And so we have a criteria to where when we get the information, when we're being dispatched, is when, if it meets our criteria for early activating a helicopter, then we activate them. And then in the month of August, we activated a lot more than 3 times, so we're canceling them a lot. Typically, the crew will get on scene, say, no, actually, it's not a stroke, go ahead and cancel the helicopter, and then they'll be canceled. So we're getting them in the air so that they're there if we need them, and if we don't need them, we're canceling them. Any questions about any of the other August data?
No.
So far for this month, we're at 24 transports for the last 13 days. So right on track for kind of normal amount of volume that we'd expect for this month. Anything else for me?
Nope.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thanks again.
Yep.
Kevin?
Good morning, Commission. Kevin Friend, Linn County Sheriff. Before I get going on our numbers, with Galen being here, I just kind of wanted to say thank you to AMR. Over the past few weeks, we had some training that their supervisors did for us, and that was very professionally done. We appreciate that, and great advantage to our department to be able to work with them in that manner. So as far as our numbers, we have 26 prisoners. 17 of those are in-house, 9 of those are farmed out. This last week, we had 108 911 calls. Our total calls for service in Linn County that we dispatched was 323. So that's pretty much all I have for you this morning, other than last week, Commissioner James had asked me to get policy manual and stuff to the county counselor, and I provided that to him this morning, so he can take a look at that, and I know he's excited to do it. He expressed that to me, so, but that's all I have this morning. Anything?
It's my way of saying thank you, Gary.
Anything for me, gentlemen?
Everything going good over in your jail?
Yeah, it's going really well. Of course, our maintenance department came over and did some alterations to our jail doors and some stuff here a while back, and that's been a real advantage to us. It's slowed down, inmates throwing things out of their cell doors and stuff like that. So that was a great help, and Jack kind of put that all together with Rick assisting us on that. So we appreciate that greatly, and it's just quieted the jail down a lot as far as some things that were going on in there. So,
Good.
anything else? Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Kevin. Doug?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
How about those Chiefs? The weather this week's supposed to be really good. In around 80 degrees, mid-80s, low humidity, no hazardous weather. At least that's their forecast for now, so that looks great for us. We did get a letter from the Spark Committee, and the way I read the letter, it seems to approve all of our projects but the construction project, and they wanted a little bit of additional information on that project. They did not outline what they want to know in the letter. They just wanted to have a phone conference with us to ask a few questions in regards to that. Currently that's scheduled for tomorrow. David and I are trying to get the time changed a little bit, and we haven't heard back from them, but we believe that phone call will take place tomorrow. And I thought if one of the commissioners, maybe Commissioner Page, was available to sit in on that phone call, it might be helpful in reference to trying to answer any questions that they have. Like I say, we don't know what the questions are going to be, but they have asked that.
Tisha's not coming over today?
No.
Is she on a vacation or something?
No, she's there at the office working.
She sent me a message that she would send me case numbers when she has time to get it ready.
Okay, and I had asked her last week or the week before that, compare it to I showed her the Miami County paper on COVID cases that they post to their website as well. She was working on that. I just wanted to know where we were on that project.
I'm not 100% certain on that. I do know that last Thursday, I believe it was, Thursday evening, I reached out to Secretary Norman of KDHE. He's the gentleman you see with the governor all the time, indicating we had some concerns about our data versus their data.
Yeah, this had nothing to do with that, though. This is the numbers posted within the towns and the numbers same as Miami County's doing theirs, to look at that and the age groups. She was gonna come up with a graph.
It's part of the way it's reported though, is it not?
We're just trying to make sure the numbers are accurate, and we're having a little bit of difficulty accomplishing that. I know our positives, we've been off one from them, so that's not so much of a concern. It's the fact that they have our negative tests, their numbers are off from ours, and we're trying to resolve where that is, because that goes into calculations that the school districts are using.
Isn't that some of the addresses, like in northern Lacine, they'll have a Lacine address?
They'll have a Lacine
Miami
address, but
County.
actually be in Miami County.
Yeah.
We found some out-of-state addresses in the data, which, I mean, it's not enormous. It's less than 10% of the data, but it still could affect our schools, so we're trying to rectify that. We had not, as of last Thursday, got the answers we were looking for, so I sent an email to the secretary of KDHE, seeing if he could provide assistance, and just waiting back for a response on that. I know we went up 5 last Friday, so we have 5 new cases as of Friday, and I believe we went up more over the weekend, and I think that's what Tish is working on. I don't know what numbers we went up over the weekend at this point.
And I forwarded that Spark Fund message. I don't know if you all got one from Michelle Coleman, asking about the Spark Fund. Is that something you got too, David? It asked what were our plans was for the money that we're about to receive or have already. So I forwarded that to Michelle, or to Tisha, to see if she knew anything about that email.
Yeah, the one we got came straight from the Spark Committee email address. So, and then,
Linn County resident,
I don't know, it didn't say, it doesn't say.
or is it some official?
That's what I don't know.
I think maybe that was just like Linn County resident who wanted to know what we're doing.
Well, I looked them up and I didn't see them. Okay.
That's an open record?
Well, if indeed it is somebody that nature, then there are open records available on that subject, yes.
Yes.
and the way I read the letter that we received, I believe the other projects were all approved. One of those projects was to replace the equipment that the health department is using to do the testing with. They're called PAPRs or CAPRs, and I don't recall what the acronym means, but it's the headset with the air flowing through it, creating a positive pressure. Whenever they are testing someone, they have to put this whole ensemble on. She had requested that we purchase 10 of those, and they were budgeted. I think they're about $3,000 a piece, so the budget, as I recall, for that project was $30,000. I'd like to get approval to go ahead and seek bids for that and get that
What is
taken
it?
care of. It's a PAPR or CAPR. It's the health department's equivalent of an SCBA that we use on the fire department, if you will.
So it has auxiliary air, it's a positive air.
It's
Pressure
taking air
of
from the atmosphere,
something.
putting it through some filters, if I gather it all correctly, because they wear a battery pack and a filter pack. It's taking and blowing that air up through their helmet, creating a positive pressure so that they're not risking breathing something in.
We had to use them in the nuclear field, just creating positive air pressure. You got a leak in your mask, it's blowing out instead of pulling in. I'm sure you've probably been involved in the military as well, but with sandblasting
Oh, yeah.
type things.
Like I say, they're not near as expensive as what our self-contained breathing apparatus is, but it's a similar type of thing that they use, just a little more simplified.
And that is the money that was sent in through the Spark funding and approved by the Spark
Yes, that is
Committee.
correct.
And I think Chris is gonna have some similar requests, and money's been approved to be spent, and he's asking that.
Yeah, it needs to be spent by December 30th, so I'm just trying to get ahead of it since they've said that's an approved project so that we can go ahead and get moving on it. I expect it's gonna be,
I'll make that motion. to
I
approve.
expect it's gonna be a little difficult from the standpoint of, everybody in the country is gonna be buying these things because of the need for them, so it may be one of those things like our testing machine that we did here a few weeks ago that may take several months to get them, so I just wanna get
Up to
on it.
$30,000?
30,000 is what was
My
budgeted.
motion to approve up to $30,000, Rick. Your second?
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And that's all I have for you this morning, unless you have anything for me.
You say 10 of them? Is that at
That is
3,000
correct.
apiece?
That's what she requested.
How was your motion? I didn't-
Up to $30,000 for purchase of that equipment. Rick seconded. Unanimous.
Everything in the fire department going okay?
As far as I know,
It's been really wet, so you probably haven't had a whole lot, huh?
I've not heard us out on a lot of calls, so I think things are quiet. Of course, normally over the summertime, that's our most quiet period. So, other than a few car wrecks once in a while and, the supporting the AMR on the medical assist, that's usually what we do during the summertime. Then it starts getting busy in the fall.
I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Chris, you want to speak?
Good morning.
Chris Martin, Linn County IT Director. I had sent you all, everybody included, an email last week about the Spark funds that got approved. Now, we had submitted 7 projects that were all for different departments and such, but all of those got approved. So I wanted to come to you today and get your approval to move forward with those purchases. And if you had any questions about the projects.
Did anybody review the email you sent out?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've
I
looked
think
at
there's
it.
a 7-page attachment on it, right?
Yes,
Thank you, by the way.
sure.
So you're needing approval so you can also get something done in this timeline?
Yeah, yeah. The only one that, they had anything that we had to make sure of was the bids on the tower project, but we've already taken those bids. We did that earlier this year, so we've met every requirement they have.
Can they get it, I mean, is the timeline gonna work?
They said, yep, not a problem.
Okay. And what was the total?
Great question. I
Is
can
that
look.
tower project the same one we were talking about here
Yep.
6 months ago?
Sure is.
So it's the temperature sensors, the server upgrade, telework computers, courtroom, live stream, courtroom. What was just the courtroom, is it?
Okay, so
surveillance?
the court, the live stream was so that the general public can participate while the court is closed
Okay.
for coming in. The other one is a temporary mobile courtroom.
Okay,
So that they can have a second set up somewhere else to be able to relieve some backlog and some, if there was a jury trial, it would help with that.
okay. So I see an amount of $80,100.
That's for the tower,
That's for just the tower?
just the tower. So the tower was 80,000.
Do you have a total? You don't have them totaled all total?
No.
You've got one for each one, I see.
Yep. You got a calculator handy, David?
Can we just approve all 7 if we're going to, unless somebody has an objection to it?
Yeah, I mean,
With the amount stated in this?
Do we have the document at hand? I mean, if we have a copy of the document,
I've got a copy in my computer right here.
Yeah.
what, just give me an estimate of how much money we're talking about. 80,000 on the one, and what else?
well,
That's 20.
Transmission audio is 17,850. They're all on separate tabs here,
There's
so.
7 pages of
Courtroom, 26,000.
temperature sensors are 51,500.
Courtroom live stream, 3,400.
Server upgrade is 14,300. Telework computer is $21,340. Is that it?
7. I can add those up here in just a second.
Gary's about there.
and while they're adding that up, just for clarification on the temperature sensors, that also includes the schools. We included in our project temperature sensors for the schools. And it's basically a podium that as you walk in the door, you put your wrist close to a sensor and it very accurately tells you the person's temperature, and then you can set a threshold alarm. So if,
Each school? do that?
yep, yep,
Yeah, our schools have that.
yeah.
I got something different here.
Well, I just did it in my head.
I got 214,490.
Now, how the schools, the schools requested a little bit of funds, now, did they request this funds in theirs, or is this us providing to them, or how's
So
that?
for that one particular project, that's us providing those pieces of equipment to them. That's separate from their request.
It's logical to buy all that equipment, it's the same equipment in one PO and then distribute it, because it's the same funding and approved through the same process, so, instead of buying,
It's
School going through a whole
214,370
process.
is what I got.
they'll
I got
distribute it.
214,490.
Maybe I left off a.
Sorry again.
I only had, what was the number on the, there's 140 there that I didn't get somewhere.
Can you go down your numbers and see where you,
I got 80,000. Is it even 80,000?
80,100.
80,100.
Okay, 140, that's the one that's different. So our numbers agree.
80,140?
So the total is 214,490.
490.
My motion is approved.
I'll second that motion. Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other questions for me?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you.
On that tower relocate, it's gonna be, obviously we'll be able to use that tower from here and then switch it to
Correct. So it's not a relocate, it's a new one. It'll be at the top.
the equipment relocate.
The equipment relocate, right. And there will be some new equipment. We're going to bolster the connectivity to the fairgrounds. That's part of our COVID response, as well as the other buildings here to maintain some separation.
The fairgrounds where most of the activities, if we have an emergency preparedness situation, we'll bring everything down to the 4-H building, connexes and everything. Most of the LEPC committees is, in a health event, is focused around the fairgrounds because of the remoteness to, but yet having infrastructure there to support it. So, that fair?
Yep.
Thank you, Chris.
Jessica, you got anything?
Good morning.
Good.
More.
I just have, I wanted to let you guys know, I have enrolled in a economic development program through the University of Oklahoma. This program is acknowledged, it's a certificate program. It's acknowledged in all the economic development organizations as a fairly good one. I've talked to Janet McCrae up in Paola. She's been through it. She thought it was good. Jackie approved me to go ahead and enroll and for the county to pay for the tuition. It's $645 a class. That's 18 credits for a class. You do them one at a time. They're about 8 weeks long.
Are they online?
At this point, yes. There are a couple of 3-day conference things that I have to attend, but not yet. Those kind of come at the end. So, we just wanted to let you guys know that I've enrolled in that, and there's plenty in my budget to pay for it. So, I don't need anything extra. And then I need 5 minutes for legal and 5 minutes for trade secrets. You guys have anything for me?
I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Forgot this, we got a signed lease from the water district on that KDOT building. So you want to authorize Danny to sign it, here's their
Dollar check?
dollar check.
Check.
We get that cash.
It's not a cashier's check.
And I guess we're holding custody or maintaining custody of two of those two bays still?
It's identical, proportions to what we have before.
Did we need a motion to sign that, or?
Probably good to have motion to authorize you to sign it since, we had, I don't think we actually did that before.
So moved.
Second, this is about a, what is it, 2-year or 3-year lease?
This is just a one-year lease.
One-year
While we
lease.
work out what we're gonna do in terms of,
But there's nothing to prevent us to go ahead and doing something right with it.
no.
So this was the lease on the old Lacine Fire Barn up there where KDOT building is what we're allowing Danny to sign today. So you made the motion, I'll second it.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I think David will wanna get a copy of that. If you don't mind sending it, just sending it out to them. Yeah, that's fine.
Jack?
Morning, everybody. Jackie Messer, Public Works Administrator. Had a few things. The school request through, was it David Reynolds up there?
Oh, Lacey.
Yeah, I talked to him last week and I told him I had to do a dumping request first, but I found out the one from last year was still open, so we're just gonna authorize it and don't need signatures since we've never closed that one. Is that good? Okay, so we,
This is on the, for everybody's
For the school.
clarification, it's on the housing that project that they're doing in Lacine. They built one new house and they're working on getting ready to start another one.
yes,
And all 3 school districts are involved in that from participation for, and David Reynolds is the one that's leading the way on the construction project, so.
So we'll just continue with the one we had. We pulled the dumpster a few months ago, so we'll put it back up there when they're ready for it. I did do a little field trip last week, so to speak. I went to Maple Ranch. They requested a meeting. Remember, they've been talking about the road out there. It's going to be a difficult thing to pull off, but I got their perspective and I got our perspective. So, because there's so many players in this. We got Homer, we got Bates, we've got our people, we got their people. So we kind of established some communication. I told them some of the pitfalls I saw to it and the fact that they're building this massive thing over in Missouri at the road that serves it. It's our road, but they are investing in Linn County. But we didn't talk numbers of who's paying for what, because I think I need to work with Bates County and Homer Township
But
first.
I thought you already did that and they said for you to take the lead on it.
Yes, but I want to I did that verbally, but now we got to make sure the paperwork reflects it. That was part of the thing we talked about. I took Pam with me. I want to get the road agreement signed to make sure it reflects that. I still have some legal questions that I'm not sure of. For example, even though Homer Township says, or any of the surrounding counties, we maintain this, you maintain that, everybody's happy. But technically, we don't have the right of way on their half, the other side.
If you get in an agreement, is that sufficient?
The agreement would not only spell out who is doing what, but authorize it.
Yes, because theoretically, they should have the right of way and give us the permission to work on their right of way. And that's, I mean, some of the details we have to work out.
And go over the distance was like over a mile, was it 2 miles or a mile?
It's all the way from,
State
152 to the river bridge, because that was what I didn't know. And I asked him that, I said, how far does this extend?
And for those who don't know, this is a request for Maple Creek Ranch wanting that road paved, and they said they would pay for the paving.
They said 50% the other day, but we haven't, I think,
Well,
it's
that's
not gonna work.
That's not
That's-
what, yeah.
Yeah.
Get it
You're
worked
right,
out.
you're right,
that's not
because,
what
Well, the
they,
next part of that is, and you've been good to point that out, is
yeah.
the maintenance of it from moving forward, because the surfacing of it from, you know, every 3 years into a rotation, it wouldn't be very long until.
and I found something out I didn't know. In fact, I found it from our people. I didn't know Missouri doesn't, the counties don't do
Right, they don't do
paving.
roads, right,
They don't do paving. They just do gravel roads. The state does all the paved roads.
right.
So that would be a factor in there too. So I think we would have to maintain it. I also threw out, I mean, just threw out a lot of stuff that hadn't been discussed of maintenance or
And they may
not.
change their mind.
Yeah. As big as that complex is growing and as fast, I think they said they're up to close to 30,000 acres in the area. And it's becoming recognized as a convention center, but we don't have anything over there that will bring in the money. I mean, there's no convenience stores, there's no, so, yeah, we've got a lot of details, but it was a pretty productive trip. I know which way I gotta go on it, but it's just gonna take a little bit to get there.
Any idea how many acres they bought out here by the Mount City Lake? Or?
I think they said they had 1,600 in Linn County. Where they are, I'm not quite sure. There's like 3 or 4 properties. I want to say 800, but I'm not
I
sure.
know where one is.
So I'm not sure.
That sounds like a conflict.
Gary, does that fall under an interlocal agreement?
I think it would be an interlocal agreement, and so it would have to be approved by the Attorney General.
So what's the next step for us?
I need to start talking to, we have a rough draft. I've got a rough draft of border agreements. We've talked to Bourbon County, we've talked to Miami County, and I've talked briefly to Homer Township, but we're going to work on that in the next week or so to get it down and run it by Gary to make sure we've got all the i's and t's crossed. And then once we get a working agreement, then we can go back to them and say, what are you willing to do? It has to go to the commission for approval. It has to go to Bates County Commission for approval. They gave me contact people the other day who I can talk to over there to coordinate this stuff. So mainly it was just a meeting to get communications going. They had sat on it for a long time, and I think it's back to COVID. COVID slowed everything down over there. They said they had that place rented to the max, and then all of a sudden they've dropped their staff by about 15 people because of the demand fell when everybody started canceling all their conferences. So I think they were kind of waiting to pick it up again, but like I said, we cleared some communication, so now we know which direction to go on it.
Awesome.
So I'll be bringing back some.
Seems like that's been about 6 or 8 months now.
Yeah, they just dropped it and wouldn't come back with us. And finally, the other day, they said, hey, we're ready to pick it back up again. So, because I had sent 3 or 4 emails saying, hey, you approached us, and I never heard back. And all of a sudden, now they're interested again. So, and I understand why they're doing it, why they want it. But I pointed out that the tax base is here, and that we got 4 or 5 roads in Linn County that people would want to have paved, so I think they're gonna have to basically pay for it.
Well, they agree, well.
Yeah,
we'll
they,
just
up front,
talk
they
there.
said that, but I think they took a negotiating stance on this one, but no. So, we're gonna move forward on that comprehensive plan. Andy's been talking to them. We've got a conference call next week. Andy and I and a couple others to get some groundwork of how to get this kicked off. We got a check last week from KDM, or we'll be getting a check this week for $273,984.23. That's still we have one more third they're working through, so they're expecting it by the end of October. That's for that storm damage from last year. Did
That's
you
all that
get any-
reimbursement of
Yeah.
whatever, how much was it? 700 something, or?
Yeah, it's gonna be about 610 all told, after the 80, that's our 85.
Don't we have 2 of those reimbursements?
No.
The second one didn't get approved, did it?
Did not.
Pardon?
The second one didn't get
Second one
approved?
didn't get approved because some of the other counties just laid down on it and didn't do it until it was too late. I know Miami called about a year later and said, hey, what's this, you're getting money back? I said, you guys didn't join the declination, so there wasn't enough money, so they didn't proceed with it. So, David, did you get any propane bids?
I haven't seen anything.
I only got one propane bid for our yearly propane.
Oh, we usually get several.
We usually get several. We only got one this year.
Were they sent out to the same people?
MFA?
Yep, the only one that bid.
And did they do it last year?
They have it right now.
They have it right now? And did they have it the year before?
D&D had it for a year.
Yeah.
Well, and I think probably a little what goes on there is everybody, I mean, they know what the programs and who's doing what, and you know, I mean, if you're in that business, you know what your competition
Then we do
is.
some tank buying and some.
Yes, we
Is
own all the
Lineburger
tanks
still
now.
one, or
We did that
are
for
they a propane service? Lineburger?
D&D, we bought all
Or are
the
they
tanks.
part of one of these?
So we have
Well,
all the
Lineburger
tanks.
got bought out by MFA, but what I didn't realize that MFA owns Big O Tire, whatever that corporation, MFA is huge down through Arkansas, and around, they're big. They're a big company. But they own some fuel distribution places as well as Big O Tire. Anyway, but yeah, they bought out Lineburger and a lot of smaller companies.
Same amount
Still run
of,
by MFA.
same amount that we're buying this year?
10,000?
Oh, you mean as far as how much we're gonna buy?
Yeah.
I gave an estimated usage of 10,000. Is that no way?
Are we guaranteeing that? Is that what we're guaranteeing we'll
No,
buy?
it's an estimated usage.
Okay.
How's that compared to last year's bid?
I think it's about the same.
And here's something that they've been doing, and that's is they do remote monitors on each location to ensure they stay full. Even on a stay full contract, if you've been on them very long, or occasionally you'll notice they'll let you run out. But they've been installing these little GIS or GPS, whatever, something. They communicate with the satellites, but.
On the tanks?
We've actually got that on some of our fuel tanks too. The one down there at
That's pretty neat.
the landfill has one.
When I had that station, they put them on there about 6-8 years ago, and that really helped. I mean, you don't have to call in an order. And, I mean, it just helps. Helps
So
them.
we could either
What-
accept the one, or I could go back out and go for another week and extend it and say, and try to reach out to these people again, but that's the only one that responded.
When did you send these out?
What's the date on that?
26 August.
So it's been
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I'm okay with going with that. You said they're the ones that had it last year, right? Yeah.
What that does for them when they have these tanks, so they can say, oh, I can get 200 gallons in that tank and go a quarter mile and put and I can manage my delivery route, because I know what's in there, well, what you're using, and so when they got all these on those satellites, they can send a truck to this area and a truck to that area and distribute a truckload.
We've moved the tanks around a little bit and got them a little bit more efficient. We took one of the tanks from the park that wasn't being used and we put it up at the radio tower. These tanks also, the ones are listed, are the ones for the fire department as well.
Doug handled this for several years, and I mean, even when we saved a nickel a gallon, it's $500. Is it worth that to have the remote monitors? It would be to me, to make sure that they have the capability.
Nobody else even put anything in, so I don't have a problem. We gave them 3 weeks.
Sorry, here.
We gave them 3 weeks, so. I'm okay with it as well. We already, you need more time?
I don't.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve the bid for propane for the following year, MFA Oil Company, for the purpose of the bid of 92 cents a gallon. Buying, how many gallons are we buying? Up to 10,000?
Estimated 10,000.
Okay, that's my motion.
I'll second that motion. Motion been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Do I need to sign anything, or?
I'll send you the bill.
The other thing is, I don't know how you guys switch hats and do this stuff, the public health board or whatever, or I can bring it up if you think you need to do the public health board or no.
Just tell us what you want.
Okay. Talking about open the senior centers back up. We keep getting requests that people want to rent it. I did talk to Teresa Maxwell, Teresa, isn't it, or?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, I don't know where I came up with Teresa, but anyway, Elizabeth Maxwell, she's not in favor of it. She has the same concerns that I've had all along, is how do we clean in between these groups when we don't know these groups coming in?
So you're talking about the senior centers that are being currently used for congregate meals now?
Right, just leave it for that purpose only. We had 2 requests out there that brought this up. The first one I've heard about, I really haven't talked to anybody.
But that's okay, I'm not for that either.
Yeah.
I'm for just keeping it for myself, for the
yeah. Well,
seniors, because we don't need to get anybody sick that don't need to.
Yeah, and Elizabeth was concerned. She said we don't want to add to the workload of the people there having to clean, not knowing who's when. Parker requested it for a wedding. I think Pleasanton, from what I understand, Casey's pulled out their little dining area, and some people wanted us to open up the senior center in the morning for these people but we don't know who's coming in. I know Elizabeth's pretty strong against it.
And most of the cities have limited access to some of their buildings as well.
Right.
As far as city, community buildings as well, so. I mean, I don't know why, I'm not for it, I'd vote against it, but I don't know how you two feel about it. I mean,
I'm not for it.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to double check.
Dean?
Um,
I mean, there's no need for it, just to
You
make a
got the
buck.
director of the whole senior thing who's pushing against it, and probably,
It doesn't benefit anybody but us.
We did have a little bit of a problem over at the Pleasanton last week about this time. They stopped in and discovered the sump pump in the basement had failed, but it didn't damage anything, but we had a little bit of water in the basement of the Pleasanton Senior Center. Replaced the sump pump, but no damage this time. So, other than that, that's it.
So is the basement drywall,
No, just cement.
concrete? Okay.
Yeah. So it's all cleaned up and good. All
That's it.
right, thanks.
didn't get up into any of the furnace equipment or anything like that, barely. Well, I mean, the bottom of it's probably just the squirrel cage and.
Yeah, they're built up and it got good, yeah, no, it's sitting on a forward pad about that high from the bottom of the furnace. So,
when we do have those centers open, does anybody ever rent the Pleasanton one?
do what now?
Does anyone ever rent the Pleasanton one out?
They used to, but we stopped that in COVID.
Before that they did though, I mean, was it pretty actively rented out?
Not really, the one that was actively rented out was Bunker Hill. Parker a little bit Centerville, not much, mostly it was, Bunker Hill. But the problem is, how do you clean between groups?
And the way that's worked historically is, Mid-America, or who is it now? Area on Aging.
Area on Aging.
And, anyway, they had somebody that was coming in there part-time, and they'd spend an hour or two, and they really didn't have the time to do any type of deep cleaning, and just really clean up the counters and feed the people, and package the stuff, and send it back for the next day, and so they were trying to keep their hours minimized, so they historically weren't doing a great job of getting them cleaned up anyway, and even if you rent this facility and now you've got a deposit out, I mean, usually you run a dust mop around it, there you go.
Right.
And maybe part of them cleaned the tables, maybe part of them didn't, but to do the type of cleaning we're talking about, you'd have to increase the rent, the deposit, and I mean, to hire somebody to come in there and do that kind of cleaning between them, I don't think it's just, to me, it's just, let's leave it alone for a while.
Yeah, Elizabeth said they were experimenting a little bit with opening it up for the meals, but they had done 2 sites a couple of days just to see, but they haven't even really opened it up for the people.
Do you need any executive time, Jackie?
No.
Wow. Write that down.
Well, let me consult my notes, maybe I'm wrong.
All right, we'll open this up for public comment now before we go into executive session. Anybody? All right, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for 5 minutes legal and 5 minutes trade secrets with Jessica Hightower.
Let's make it
15 minutes legal. 10 minutes.
Second.
Move and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Revising the time.
They're trying to, yeah, we both had things scheduled, and they gave us. So far, they haven't responded to the request for change time.
You better call me 10 minutes before the meeting. Sometimes I have to get someplace where I can pick up the internet.
Yeah, I think, but I think you was making a good choice, get something done. Oh, I figure it's not on his iPhone.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
I know, because, you know, say, bus was referenced yesterday, and I went back and drove out. Oh, we've been here.
It's like tea. I think we got that covered.
I'm also Chair of Constitution Week for the Marisine chapter of Daughters of American Revolution. And I just wanted to make a short statement. Oh, it's not too long. September 17th to the 23rd is the 233rd anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America. The U.S. Constitution is the oldest constitution still in active use today and is the basic document of our republic. You may have heard the phrase, "That's unconstitutional," or "That's my constitutional right." Many times Americans believe that sayings and phrases are in our Constitution, but they really aren't. Let us celebrate Constitution Week, September 17th to the 23rd, by resolving to be better informed and responsible citizens. Read the Constitution. Go beyond the beginning paragraph, the preamble, and read the 3 branches of government. Also, the Bill of Rights that the Founding Fathers added to the Constitution in 1791. Celebrate the birthday of our Constitution by flying your flags. And I want to thank you very much. I do have some handouts, and I wanted to show you this.
That's new this year, isn't it?
This is the latest poster. This is 2019 National Contest Poster winner. And every year, a national in Washington, D.C. judges, it has to go from chapter all the way up to national, and they judge on poster contest winners. And whatever poster is selected, that poster is used the following year in the classrooms all throughout the United States. So anyway, it's kind of neat, and this one is all about the articles in the Constitution. Branches of government, the judicial branch, and anyway, it's got all 7 articles right on here, just in this. I thought it was really an excellent way to see our Constitution, but there's so much about it that really need to get in there and read it to know it. I'm going to hand these out. And I know you already have one.
September 23rd? Actually, I do.
These are small little packet constitutional pamphlets.
Did
It
you
also
see-
has the Declaration of Independence in that. David, I think you have one. And Gary, did you want one?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I'm going to get one to the press lady. You're welcome. And give me one of that. 2 more of that. Would you like one? Anything else? Thank you, there we go. And then I also have some flagpole leaflets. Here's that poster, if you kind of look at it. I've got some flagpole leaflets. These are really good, especially for high school students, just for the family, to tell us about how to fly the flag, what are the policies of flying the flag, what it means, how to retire it, all of these good things about our flag. You probably know all that, right?
No, I'll take one. I do know about it.
You forgot.
I've done a lot.
Thank you.
Do you go around to the high schools and do the same exact thing?
You
or
know,
how's-
I wanted to do legislative day last year.
Right.
And we had the COVID. And that would have been a great opportunity. I think there's like 100 and some students that go each year. And it would have been a great opportunity to show our, actually have a video, 10-minute video, Rise of the USA. It's on the Constitution. And it's just awesome. But it's mainly geared toward 5th through 8th. But adults love it because it's kind of an up-to-date modernization of communication between Ben Franklin and King George texting. So it's really a cute video. And I'm hoping this year maybe.
But I will say this for you, I really appreciate, you started a few years ago, I don't know how many years you've been doing this.
It's been quite a few years.
That the Daughters of the American Revolution has kind of come to life for us in Linn County, and that you've gone to all these elementary schools year after year. And I know my kids were there, they loved having that day of patriotism, you know, we forget about some of those things, so.
Right.
Thank you for that. Are you guys doing it again this coming year?
Unfortunately,
No?
no outside presentations. So I did drop off materials.
Good, good.
So I've got a lot of constitutional pamphlet, flag code, bookmarks, flags, you know, just to fly the flags when they say the Pledge of Allegiance, and the posters.
And thanks
So
for-
we get a lot of materials to the schools.
But
throughout
thank you seriously for,
Miami and Linn County, so
Do you get
I
involved in-
actually cover both counties. Would you like that?
Do you ever get involved in like Veterans Day programs and things like that?
What's that?
Veterans Day programs, do you ever get involved in any of that
Yes, I
stuff?
actually, I'm also chair of commemorative events.
Oh.
And I just did this week, KOFO in honor. I did an interview on our Bill of Rights. It is the 250th anniversary of our Bill of Rights this year. So I did an interview on that, and that was what time, that was the other morning, so anyway. I try to get a constitutional minute each week, each day, from the 17th to the 23rd, but they haven't called me yet to be able to fill in that constitutional minute, so it may have to wait till next year, I don't know. So, did you want one of these?
Pass the proclamation down there if you guys want to approve and sign
Jerry, you
that.
want one of these? Leslie? Oh, no, never mind, that's mine.
The proclamation is for
I gave you all
the,
Declare your.
Constitution
Proclaiming the 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week in Linn County.
my motion.
second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye, you get to read it.
I'd like to sign, get a picture
She already
signed.
read it.
If that's okay. I'll take that.
Okay.
Need it?
Oh, I got one here somewhere.
It's okay if I stand over here?
Yep.
There you go.
You can read it if you want.
Whereas, what the motion is that we're making the 17th to the 23rd, the Constitution Week, right? So whereas September 17th, 2020 marks the 33rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States by American Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition of the magnitude or the magnificent document and its memorable anniversary and to patriotic celebration which will commemorate the occasions, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issues of the proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week.
Okay.
Did
Thank
David
you
need
very
that,
much.
or?
Thank you. Do you have a copy of this to put on the?
I need to sign and seal that,
Okay.
and that's the only, unless you guys sign two of them, that's the only copy I
Okay.
have.
Did you make a copy of that?
Yeah, let's just sign another one and then she can take that one.
Hang up, post it, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
post
yeah,
it.
I'll put it up, but if they'll sign a second one, do you need a copy to take?
Yeah, I need a copy to take back.
Mike, sign
Actually,
it.
We get points for how many proclamations we bring back, so that would be appreciated.
How many members are in the Daughters of
Oh,
the American
we have
Revolution?
that. Just
For
in-
Kansas,
Just
you
in
know?
Kansas.
Yeah.
Just in Kansas, we have 62 chapters,
62 chapters.
just in Kansas.
Okay,
And I would say the average in a chapter is probably 50.
okay, good.
It's huge.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
is.
worldwide too, if you think about it, because there's a lot of military and people that live overseas that have ancestors that fought in the Revolutionary War.
Yep.
So, but it's a national organization, but we do acknowledge overseas, U.S. citizens that are overseas working in American. Is that it?
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Renee.
Appreciate it.
You got a hearing?
Yeah, we got the road vacation hearing. Gary?
What time do we have that set for?
10:30, and we're at 10:35 now.
So you just need to ask if there's anyone here to speak to the road vacation.
Is there anyone here to speak on the road vacation? Is that? Could I get you to stand up and state your name and what you have to say? Thank you.
My name is Deborah Burchett. Do you need address or just that?
Oh, that's just fine.
Okay. And we own property on both sides of what you're trying to close, and we really don't want it closed. Do you have a record on the last time anybody graded it or put gravel on it?
we should, is Jackie, can you grab Jackie?
He's not gonna know off the top of his head either, he'd have to do probably, you don't have access to that program, do you, Dave?
That road's actually not in our public works program.
Is it not? So you're not gonna have a record
If
of
it
it?
was being maintained, Miami County it would be their part.
Okay.
I never remember it being graded or gravelled or anybody maintaining it.
Yeah, there are
So,
several roads in our county that was marked
Yeah,
and never used, period. Yeah.
we use it. A lot of people use it. And if it needs maintained, we pretty well do it. But if you close it, then if we ever sell any of that land down in there, then we have no access to it. My letter said that you was doing it because it cost you. I don't think it cost you anything to leave it like it is.
No, the theory is that if a situation arose where we had to bring it up to standards, it would be very costly to do so.
Right.
Uh,
And it gets
about all
flooded.
what we could do is make it a minimum maintenance road instead, which says that we're not ever gonna work on it.
That would be fine, as long as you don't close it where there's not access back into the back parts of our property.
Yeah.
Is there other landowners?
You have the map there, I can't
Yes.
remember.
Are you?
I don't think so. That's us.
Catron Dynasty,
What was that?
Catron.
Oh, yeah.
I'll show you the map. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but he's on the road coming down to what you're closing. He's not on the one being closed.
Now, this portion is what we were going to close, and then this up to here is what we were proposing. to
And
close.
he farms in here, but he's got a road down to it, but we
Yeah,
have here and
that's
here
fine.
and
I
here.
mean, we have some objections to it, so obviously we need
Yeah,
to take it.
so,
This is the road that's coming in through Miami County and then comes down into Linn, is that right?
it looks like it starts at maybe Miami County and comes.
207?
And this one was already previously vacated to
Down
here,
to that loop.
so it would
It's
be.
north of Hell's
this
Bend.
and this.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, mapping and we were
We're just
looking
trying to clean
at
up
it, the way I
stuff.
understand it, we were looking at it because no one
Was the
that we
Lewis-
knew
it
was
way
using
down
it.
to Lewis Road, but
And
it's
it
been
did need to be
vacated
open.
already.
We have so many roads that don't exist, that exist on paper but don't exist. In this case, it sounds like you do have a reason for it, so.
This is the current
Why don't you
aerial.
come right here and then we can at least
I remember this one, yeah.
This road here was already vacated. And so we were proposing vacating this to the river and this up to this property line. And I believe it's all in the flood zone, so you
Yeah,
could split
it's
it up and sell
definitely-
it, but they wouldn't ever be able to build on it.
No,
But that would be the biggest reason to not vacate it, was if they did want to split it up. The north-south road,
Show him, please.
yeah, come up.
then how does the railroad get down to work on it?
This was already vacated to here. So this is still open. Miami County maintains that.
Sure wasn't vacated to right here? This one here?
I believe it wasn't. I think I checked on that because in the proposal, it even talks about intersection of vacated road. Maybe their intent was there, but I think the wording was all the way up to here.
They actually forded the Meridazine at one time?
At one time, yes.
Really? Right there on Hell's Bend, I'd be damned. Here's that bridge and,
That was, we're talking Buddy days.
yeah.
That's how we got to Lacey.
But this, from here to here, east and west, and then from this property
And at
south.
one time, 69 highway was proposed to go through that area, and you had to decide not to cross the river, so they took it over to that side.
Here's this bridge, and see, these are the railroad tracks, and we're talking about that bridge that we're working on
Right.
22 something, 2250 maybe, I don't know, 2200. Anyway, right there's that bridge, and it looked like they at one time forded the river right beyond that. Boy, that's got a banks on it too, right there.
Back then, it was the worst way, but.
It's shallow there, it's kind of
Is it?
They used to drive the cart in there and horse the cart.
Buggy wash, huh? Right. All right, well, there is, it's interesting. But there's that railroad bridge that goes across from Marizine up there, just, you can see from the, what is it, 2250, whatever that is. But anyway, so it sounds like we have some objection to do that, so at a minimum, we need to probably push this down and investigate that further, or just redirect the.
Well, I say investigate it further, and if you determine that a minimum maintenance road is a better option, then we'll need to take steps for that, and that's a separate process, so.
Yeah, it would be
He had something, he came here for a reason.
Yeah, if you want to come up and state your name and speak.
Can you imagine, I mean, the purposeful act it would have to take to go around through Miami County and come back in and around to get a piece of equipment down there to maintain that, so it probably never will be maintained, I guess you understand that.
My name's Wayne Burchett, I'm her husband. But to give you some background, this ground when it was originally cleared off of timber and stuff was back to my grandfather, Linn McCandless. I was born in 1952, so I've known the area since then. And that was pieced together from different farmers, and that's the reason that road was there and maintained at one time. Maintained as a dirt road because that's what they did back then. And yes, Miami County used to come down and probably twice a year run a maintainer in the spring, so it'd be nice and smooth to plant, and in the fall, nice and smooth to harvest. And I was surprised when I heard that was closed, but apparently we missed that because that's published in Linn County paper, and somewhere that was lost because we didn't know that. What it is that went from my grandfather's land to my parents' and uncles' land. Then my father-in-law bought that land, and now it's in a LLC, Pony Corner Farms, which is owned through my wife. But the youngest generation, they're getting to this point where they're starting to talk about breaking that land up. So we're concerned about easements, access to this land and things like that in the future. We're not concerned about maintenance. We're concerned about availability to the land. And I mean, Miami County used to, like I say, do it a couple times a year, but as road foremans change and things like that, that kind of falls off. I don't know if you've been around really roads that's barely used, but that's kind of where it gets lost. And so you get into a deal where all of a sudden it's never maintained, and everybody goes, well, we haven't maintained that. And then somebody goes, well, let's just close it. Well, that's all right. We don't want it to cost county money, but we have paid lots of taxes since '52 on that ground. And our wishes is it just stays open. We're not wanting to improve it. The minimum maintenance, that's a great idea, just so that that right-of-way is there. It's used quite a bit more than you think, because that's a big access area to the river for recreation from the north side. So everybody that knows family members, and good gracious, there's lots of them, they go down in there and fish and things like that. So, if that property would sell someplace else, like roads closed, well, farm across it, no access. I mean, just in the future, I don't think it's a good thing. So that would be my request to you guys.
Well, that's good. I'm glad, and that's why we have hearings to listen. I don't think anybody here is trying to shut our road down that is being used. And I understand what you're saying.
And I knew that you guys probably just, all you get is a map. And somebody say, well, we don't maintain it anyway. So I wanted to give you that background.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's usually just the opposite. People don't want the public down in there because if they own both sides of the
We
road.
have a large family, a lot of friends that do.
You can't really fence farm down like that.
Those old roads that skin the ruts out of them, and you catch it harvesting a little bit wet time, rut it up a little, and then go skin the ruts off so you ain't beating yourself to death getting back in there with a truck or a piece of equipment or something, but, yeah.
The worst thing that ever happened to those roads is four-wheel drive pickup, because they don't care which way they go.
We've cleaned up several of these areas like that over the years. We've got a very active mapper, and she keeps, and so, yeah, I don't have a problem with revising this to minimum maintenance.
Yeah, we'll have to give proper notice on that and start that process over, but the advantage of that is that, let's say in a few years when we're all gone and the next generation or the next do split it up, and somebody sells theirs off, and somebody says, well, we want this road fixed. See, that's what we're trying to avoid. And so if we make it minimum maintenance, then they'll have notice that it's not gonna be fixed. And it'll allow you to have your access and allow us to protect the future from having to spend millions of dollars on a road, so.
That's something we'll want to address in our agreement with Miami County too,
Yeah,
since
that's
they're
one of
the
those
ones that would be coming in.
Falling into cracks, there's this one area that Miami does, and we do all the rest of them, it's just agreement from wherever. We do like 407 all the way, because they in turn do that little portion that's so hard for us to get to.
Not very often.
Yeah, when we talked to them, they didn't say they made
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
for that, so.
That was what the handshake agreement from years past was. They would deal with that because of our.
And they change road
transportation.
foreman, yeah,
Yeah.
how that, yeah,
Road graders and-
yeah.
And I think it would just be a.
And if you have that, you just need to call us.
Yeah.
There's a form online, you can fill it out, and if you needed that road graded. And if it's not us doing it, and they're supposed to.
We can
talk
contact
to
them and have, maybe get it done.
It was bad last year, the bus got stuck trying to cut their houses down. Not on that way, but where Miami County starts and Linn County,
Mhm.
nobody did anything.
Okay. We just need to know about it, because there's so many roads that,
Yeah, that's just one of those areas.
yeah.
We had a scenario where in a different part of the county where an abandoned road and somebody owned the property, actually their dad owned the property. For 10 years, I kept hearing that, well, we want that road built through, we want a bridge built because there was a creek in the middle of their property along this abandoned road, and they didn't want to build up here where they had access to, they want to build on the other corner of their property. But they thought the taxpayers ought to build them a bridge and build them a quarter mile of, maintained road so they could access the other corner of their property, and it fell outside of our guidelines. We finally, somebody else purchased the property, and he wanted it closed because he didn't want everybody having access to his property.
Nobody will ever build down in here, it floods every year.
But it's so many different pieces of property that if you put together, at least 3 different owners that I know of. So if the kids start breaking it out and selling the farm ground, somebody's going to access.
Mhm.
And usually farmers don't share well maintained road, they just don't access. If it sells the wrong person, it's probably this farm, they access, and then you start fighting for the right of way and stuff.
Yeah, we got plenty of river bottoms around to deal with that.
Probably for 911, since it is gonna still be a county road, whether it's minimum maintenance or not, I probably need to develop a road name for it and get the signs up for that.
Yeah, and that was another thing, 911 was worried, because you gotta know where it is. And if you don't know where that is, you can't call it. Because you gotta go around town.
Around.
If you call this the property 2 miles, they won't find you.
Pam can make it happen, right?
We'll make it happen.
Thank you for listening to us.
No, thank you
Thank you
for
for
straightening
coming
this out.
Knowledge is a thing,
Yeah,
And I want to give you back for this, so you kind of know how.
Are you
Appreciate
related to
Calvin?
Calvin or Kevin or Doc or Harold or?
Calvin's not the other, Kevin's my nephew.
Doc is not related. That's not Watson, but not right.
Harold's dad?
Well,
My
Harold-
dad was Harold too, and.
There's 2 Harold Watsons.
Yeah,
Huh?
and Doc is Harold too, and that was her name.
Hmm.
Pretty sure has passed on. And he's the other Harold.
Yeah.
We'll close the hearing.
All right, we'll close this road vacate hearing and appreciate you guys coming in and
We'll fix it. Thank you.
What's the language on that? We're not gonna do anything with it right now?
Maintenance.
No motion, no nothing, and we're gonna
Look
try
at-
and make it minimum maintenance?
I think
We're not
that's
closing.
what I would suggest that you seriously look at, that we,
That would be great.
and that way that it, it's still a county road, but the minimum maintenance gives notice to everybody that we're not gonna maintain it.
You maybe shouldn't drive there.
Car, we don't mind people down in there. Like I say, it's good with the river and stuff, and we do You get oil and down enthusiasts.
We just advertised it.
They won't be able to find it. They'll never be able to find it.
You say that's a good place to throw it? Yeah.
When I was a child, I used to live right at the top of the river, when I was a child. You'd be amazed at the people that come down here trying to get to Lake City.
They still do.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It looks like it ought to come through.
It looks like it ought to go through what years ago.
You get voted off down, you can't go there to college.
Whenever the railroad redesigned the bridge and how the river banks wash out, you couldn't get through it now for rough.
But I'm surprised it's closed down to the river bridge, because then the railroad can't get in.
Hmm.
They do.
Yeah, we'll do it in there anyway.
Yeah.
You can get over there south of that 2250, there's an access you can see down in there. We've maintained that bridge, there's just no way to get to it, and the accessibility to it, there's a crossing. You've got to go way down in there south on private property to get across it. I think it's owned by the Watershed Institute.
You can still get down to that low water crossing from north, because it's over in here, on top of that's possible.
Oh, really?
Well, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it. I appreciate you, you guys take.
Thank you.
Before you move on, I did get a message from Tisha on the cases. We had 7 new positive cases, and they're all active at this point, so our total is now 65.
So 65 total cases, 7 currently active.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Is that 7 new active, and do we have any others active, or?
She just said there's 7 new positives, all 7 are active.
So there may be other active cases out there.
Gary, you got anything else?
Don't believe so,
You're not gonna stay for the interviews?
I guess I'm ready to do that. No. Let me see here, give me just a second. We will be, it's my understanding, we'll be scheduling a formal groundbreaking on, with jail construction next week too. I'll let you know when they're going to set that up.
Yeah.
All right, well then, we'll make a motion that we,
Can we do a recess before 11? Like
yeah, let's
7
do it.
minutes?
Do a 7-minute recess, and then we'll be going into executive session. We'll come back.
For interviews.
Should we just make that motion right now?
Yeah, can we do that, Gary?
Sure.
I'll
All
make-
your times are spelled out.
Okay.
30 minutes on the interview, or?
Yeah.
Are you, you getting ready to leave?
I was, but I can stay if you need me. I usually don't set it on the interview.
Can we, use that 10 minutes for legal then, or quick legal before you leave, so we can get you turned loose?
Yep.
Sorry.
Here goes my
You're only giving us
recess.
5 minutes.
So what are we doing? We're gonna go,
10-minute legal.
10-minute legal right now.
I'll make a motion to go into 10-minute legal,
And then
and then we're gonna go into the appraiser interview
Which would, 30 minutes?
for 30 minutes,
Okay.
directly after that. That's my motion.
interview?
Yep.
second.
Yeah, I second.
Moving second, all in favor? Aye.
I will come join you here in just a minute, get this all sorted out.
Sorry about that. Fishing in your time. Gary needs to leave.
One of these days, I need to
have a little bit of, action. How did we need to, I mean, what did we discuss on?
Okay, so
What
we
do you
talked about probably needing a special meeting tomorrow.
Right.
To discuss the spark funds and, I mean, that's spark fund project on the building that we're discussing.
The motion meeting of what, tomorrow by Zoom at 4:30?
That's your motion?
Yep.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep, Zoom.
Discuss the spark fund.
Funds.
Funds, monies.
You need to read that.
We already said you're just good at in school. History. David, you got anything else?
I don't think so. That's all I needed.
You guys got anything?
I think so.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
First one ever uses that.
There you go.
So important.